But alright, who likes my Charlie XCX cosplay? Anyone? I know I do. Motherfuck. Charlie XCX, the woman that you are. Let's talk about Brat. I am a Brat mega fan. I love Brat. I need to stop doing this British accent right now. I love Brat, so I wanted to write a bit of like a piece on it because it seems so fun. And Brat, the album, has truly become an idea of its own. I mean, it's influenced like a whole presidential campaign. And it's just a regular pop album. Or is it? There are such strong overtones within this album of it being a goodbye to Charlie's career. And I've heard it just turn around with such a strong comeback and hold such strong social currency. It's perplexing. Musically and culturally, Brat will live on as the pinnacle of the 2020s cultural landscape. Together, we're going to delve deeper into what Brat is and how I believe it's changed the reception of pop music and how it will change the reception of pop music for generations to come. So let's just start with the obvious. Brat is a good sounding album. It sounds good to listen to. It's fun to listen to. It has all the elements of just a fantastic pop album. We really haven't heard anything like this since the early 2010s. Artists just literally aren't making good recession music anymore despite our current financial landscape. When I look back on the last 20 years of music, we start in 2010 through 2014, where we have people like Kesha, Avicii, David Guetta, Pitbull, and they're just making good pop music. We then go 2015 through 2020, where we start to see more hip-hop topping the charts. Then obviously we hit 2020 and we see the surgence of indie music, those really short TikTok-driven sounds. They're not exactly songs and they're not really music. We're not seeing a heap of success in traditional pop music. I like to think about it as like the Taylor Swift effect with Folklore and Evermore. That was mid-pandemic. Taylor Swift, a pop artist, was making folk music. We were very confused. We didn't really know what the fuck was going on. It was sort of just these general depressing, short unfinishedness to most popular music at the time. It's undeniably TikTok's fault. Whether it was positive or negative, we were really left feeling flat and depressed, and we were all stuck inside, and we just wanted more. We wanted something fun. And now, as we see through the last couple of years, we've had this resurgence of pop music. Everyone wants to hear a banger. I would like to acknowledge Miss Charlie XCX for that. So there we go. We have a basic history of sort of the last 10 years-ish. But what is it about Brat that garnered it this level of success? Firstly, it has a clear message. A message that if you get it, you get it. It's just be unapologetically messy. Be as messy as you want to be. And at least that's what I would clarify it as. That sentence is so not Brat. And I don't want to explain it. It's like Brat is so stupidly confident that she doesn't need to second guess it herself. I don't need to provide any sort of explanation for any of the shit I'm saying because it's Brat. It's Brat to not have an explanation. In the words of Charlie, she's like a girl who has a breakdown and kind of just parties through it. She's blunt, she's a little bit volatile, and she's just like insane. I think in the way that Charlie has produced this album as well, she really attacks each of the elements of music so uniquely with such strong purpose behind it. Lyrically and musically, the album follows this story that when I'm talking about it, I'm going to refer to her as Miss Brat. She's not a woman. She doesn't need to be gendered, but for this purpose and for my own sake, she's a girl. It has sort of got this stream of consciousness to it, and it's very much discussing the deepest thoughts that Miss Brat is experiencing while still being this like out of you, like super hot, super sexy, like look about it. You're almost looking at Miss Brat and her head and body, and then you're looking inside her head. When you're strictly listening to the hits, you're seeing this like outer Miss Brat. You're seeing her look her most Gorgina. Like Von Dutch, that is Miss Brat's Gorgina-ness. Guess as well. Guess is Gorgina. This outward expression of who Miss Brat is so obvious. She's confident, she's a hot party girl, she's just concerned with partying, and she's head empty. It's supported by the composition of the tracks, texturally and dynamically loud. It's very fast and jumpy. It feels a bit coked out, honestly. They're nothing revolutionary. She's not reinventing the wheel with these compositions, but it's so loud and volatile, and it's attractive. That's what it is, and that's who Miss Brat is. And the music warrants both the inner and outer expression. It very much provides that club aesthetic of being super loud and crazy, but also encapsulates that inner, like, head noise almost. While Miss Brat might be head empty, she's got shit going on in her head, okay? Looking onto her as a concept, she has thoughts, and that's a wild concept for feminism, that we have to clarify that a woman has thoughts. Just because she enjoys a party doesn't mean she suddenly doesn't have thoughts. Just a quick quote from Sympathy is a Knife. Volatile, at war with my dialogue. That's very much how I felt writing this. An analysis on anything that a woman does, it feels like unnecessary. Like, a woman did something, that's all. She's doing great, sweetie. Anyway, this album does a great job of addressing the head emptiness of the party girl, that yes, she might be head empty to you, but to me, she's not. To me, I am the head empty party girl. The album discusses a lot of the typically usual thoughts of a girl who is head empty. Romance, nostalgia, loss of female friendships, death, the passing away of those we're closest with, generational trauma, just the usual. The concept of Brat allows us to have these kinds of intellectual conversations while still going a little crazy. For myself, I'm in a very clear-cut academic writing degree that requires a certain level of intelligence when I just want to be free in my writing and go crazy. I want to go nuts and go Brat, and Brat is the reality of a lot of people in similar circumstances. We want to be creative and whack, but simultaneously taken seriously, and it's difficult. At this point, when I was writing the script as well, I was thinking, this is literally just a pop album with cool beats and a couple of songs with some deep meaning, but besides that, the impactful topics over awesome beats and lyrical content, besides being I love partying and let's do coke, I stopped and thought, like, just because the stylistic choice is a pop album written by a woman, embracing her craziness doesn't discount the very real impacts that this album can have on people. Alongside the glistening praises of party culture is a discussion of imposter syndrome and not feeling good enough for those around you and those that you're in relationship with. The Girls So Confusing version with Lorde is a very good example of this. It collectively dropped a ton of bricks on my own circle of friends, and I could see the fallout on TikTok as well, with trends personifying the Charlie Lorde archetype. But here I was, questioning the legitimacy of my own analysis and if the media should be taken seriously. And I wonder how my own thoughts as a mega fan of Charlie would translate if I was someone who didn't really care for Charlie's music and was suddenly being thrust upon with her music. If you don't get Charlie and all of a sudden everyone's talking about Charlie, you're not going to take it seriously, despite it being a serious enough album to be taken seriously. The album itself wasn't taking itself seriously, and that's the core of why it's exciting and fun. Why can't I just let myself have that? Who am I needing to legitimize Brat to? It's just Brat. The adaptation of Brat into Kamala Harris's campaign trail is yet another reason why I find this sort of need to legitimize Brat. We need to find some sort of ground that Brat needs to stand on for people who don't understand it. They want it in a box when Brat doesn't belong in a box. The reality is that Brat is an experience. It's an experience of being a little bit of a mess and just kind of letting it be. It's not cleaning your house for a week because you're busy. You have things to do. There's no need to be perfect because there will be someone to celebrate you for being a mess. And there's no pressure to grow out of this messiness either. It isn't a coming of age story. You can always be brat. And with that being said, the brat effect is something else entirely that I want to talk about. Due to the nature of brat and the topics that discuss brat, it is appealing to a certain demographic. And that demographic is you. Eating disorder Twitter, I'm looking at you. The dreaded eating disorder discussion. Just kidding, I fucking love this topic. Because having an eating disorder is as much a social thing as it is a mental illness, and I'm going to call it a mental illness because we're going to do what is correct here. Having an eating disorder is ill. You are ill. My credential on this topic, I've had a 6-year-long and ongoing struggle with body image and eating as a result. And holy fuck, the brat effect was just like, it reignited it. Firstly, the aesthetic of the fucked up party girl is very 2010s Tumblr. She's not as moody or depressed anymore. She's more manic. And fuck me, did the ED girls latch on to her. The recovered part of me just wanted to completely leave so I could become skinny and miserable again. And there are a lot of themes on brat that are amplified by being malnourished. And the abandonment of body positivity. The abandonment of body positivity we've seen on TikTok over the past couple of years as we swing back into the early 2000s ideology can be exhibited on brat. The nature of the music fits in really well with the 2000s aesthetic, and the general cultural attitudes towards thinness never truly went away. That's not brat's fault. That's our fault. As a society, we liked the idea of loving all people, but in reality, we couldn't commit. The rushed and fast-paced marketing landscape that we live in never truly let the body positivity movement catch on for the long run, and historically, long-term, we've seen that we are in the skinny era, and we will be for a while longer. It does suck. Brat's actual attitude towards thinness is literally going against the whole way that the brat effect has developed. While the never go home, don't sleep, don't eat is mentioned, we have established that Miss Brat is more than her outwards expression. She may be hot, but she's got shit going on in her brain, and the way she looks isn't the most exciting thing about her. She isn't wanting to be praised for her waist measurement. Similarly, the Girls So Confusing remix with Lorde, the breakdown of friendship or fostering of resentment is attributed to the Who's Skinniest competition and how silly it was looking back. The fear of someone who's got that aesthetic is unfounded, and when you work it out on the remix, you realise that you are just like me for real. So, what's been established? Brat's purposeful commentary on what it's like to be a young person in this post-COVID world, and who just wants to have some fucking fun and is judged for it. World changing. And I wanted to touch on the point that I made earlier about how quickly this has exploded into the public scene, and then how quickly it's left again. I've been rushing myself to pull my ideas together faster so that I didn't meet the same fate as Brat. Despite all the praise that Brat has, it will continue to receive, I fear it will fall victim to the massive push due to the availability of content we're numb to. I would consider myself a Charlie fan, and the hyperpop genre appeals to me, and Brat is truly a facet of my music taste, but it's an acquired taste for a specific mood. I'm personally going to bump it at 4:30am on my drive to work, but it's not for everyone. And I worry that the insane success of the Brat summer movement may do worse for Charlie's career than intended. As is discussed on Spring Breakers, Rewind, and I think about it all the time, Charlie's career is a major point of this album, and I selfishly would be pissed if she decided to step away because I do love her music so much. All of this is to say that overconsumption and over-marketing of Brat will be its demise. So what have we learned? Charlie gave us something to ponder. She wants us to have fun and go crazy, but she wants to recognize something within ourselves so that we can have fun. We don't need to hold ourselves to ridiculous standards. We can go wild. We can be crazy but still have emotion. In giving us this, however, it's grown beyond her control. If there's one message in Brat, it's to keep partying no matter what, and I'm here for it. Stream Brat for clear skin.